one of the aspects of the question of the Bangsa-Moro Organic Law is the reaction of the other sectors in the Muslim community in the Philippines. And I have heard the discussions of our guest, Mr. Abe Idjirani, over the radio program of Ado Paglinawan several times. And I myself am not as focused and as well-versed about the issues there. So I thought we should have more public airing of these matters. And from the radio program, I said, I'd like to invite Abe here to explain to us the issues regarding the Sultanate of Sulu's view on the Bangsa-Moro Organic Law and federalism and other issues that affects both the Sultanate and our Republic. So I'm thankful for Abe here for joining us. And maybe, Abe, you can start off by stating the, giving us an update on this, because there is also this issue of the Tausogs, I think, have some questions about the BOL. Case has been filed in the Supreme Court and so on. Please, go ahead.
Unang-una ho, Kamintong, maraming salamat for having me in your program. Kasi ang JNN ay umaabot hanggang Tawi-Tawi.
Good.
So, ang listeners ninyo ay hindi lang taga Maynila, maskin doon sa Mindanao, Sulu and Palawan. Now, unang-una ho, Kamintong, I'd like to emphasize the beginning of the Sultanate of Sulu. Its territorial jurisdiction was comprised of, and is still comprised of, Sulu, Basilan, Tawi-Tawi, the Zamboanga Peninsula areas, and Palawan. Now, in those days, the Sultanate of Sulu was recognized not only by the United States of America, but prior to that, by China, Spain, Great Britain, France, and Holland. Now, these countries have entered into an agreement and different treaties with the Sultans of Sulu. In other words, Kamintong, my point is that there were two sovereign sultanates in those times. The Sultanate of Maguindanao in mainland Mindanao, and the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo in the southern part of the Philippines. Now, however, the territorial coverage of the two sovereign sultanates in those times, iba sila. Now, this is the reason, Kamintong, why the Bansa-Sulu people or the Bansa-Sulu people are posting their opposition to the implementation of Bangsa-Moro Organic Law. Not purely, not because they oppose peace or they are the spoiler of peace, which our government wanted to have to reign in our country, but the sacredness of the ancestral territorial boundary of the Sultanate of Sulu was not respected while drafting while the Bansa-Moro Transition Commission was drafting the BOL. In fact, if we will recall history, we don't want a problem of 1935 to repeat in this era. Because, Kamintong, in 1935, noong pinili na ang mga representante ng Muslims to join the 1934 Convention, pinili lang. Now, abandoning the participation of the royal clan, not only of the Sultanate of Sulu, but including the Sultanate in Maguindanao. For instance, in the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo, meron ho silang si Princess Sultan Kiram, the first Muslim women to be granted scholarship by the United States government. And yet, marunong magsalita ng English, and they can help the delegates to define what really suits to the people in the area, ay hindi inimbita. But they were neglected. Now, the same thing with the Bangsa-Moro Transition Commission in the selection of the members, wala hong mga stakeholders representing these two different institutions. So ito ho ang kahulugan ng opposition by the Bansa-Sulu people, not opposing what our president would like to have, but opposing because the sacredness of the territorial boundary was not mentioned in the. In fact, the Bangsamoro Transition Commission even wanted the changing of the name of Sulu Sea to the Bangsamoro water, not knowing that the Sulu Sea is the shared of sovereignty of the Sultanate of Sulu against foreign colonizers in those times.
And what is the next step, in your view, to be taken in order to respond to these issues that you have raised?
Well, if only there are representatives from our national government na pupunta doon sa area and ascertain the views of the people in Basilan, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi, they preferred federalism. Because through federalism, dito ma-exercise nila ang kanilang gusto, not trampling the rights of other sultanates. Secondly, federalism will now differentiate in regard to the nation building ng mga custom and traditions of people because these are vital in the nation building, recognizing the custom and tradition. Now, people, Muslims in mainland Mindanao and Muslims in the 3 provinces, meron silang difference, multiple difference doon sa custom and tradition. So, the mingling, the intertwining of this without basis, magkakaroon ito ng negative impact. Now, it will polarize the unity. Instead of achieving comprehensive peace, it will polarize the unity of the Muslim in the area.
Do you feel that you're getting the ear of Malacanang on these questions? Are they responding? Of course, the case has been filed, so public is aware that there is some question at the very minimum about the BOL from that sector, from the, is it correct to say from the Tausug community?
Yeah, from the Bansa-Sulu people.
Bansa-Sulu people.
Bansa-Sulu or Bansa-Sug. Now, kami itong, it was the responsibility of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission to inform the President of one transpired, of what are those that are being accepted by the people. But they felt siguro to brief the President, except that sa kanila, this is our right to draft the Bangsamoro Organic Law for the convenient, which will produce hope, but the impact of which is fear. Fear in what sense? Now, it's happening. There is now, a petition submitted to the Supreme Court, but we cannot discuss further on it, except I would say that reiterating the sacredness of the territorial boundary, yun lang ang masabi ko.
Is it possible to give a summary of that petition in the Supreme Court?
Well, I am not fully aware of that, but what I learned is that the petitioners wanted to magkaroon ng restraining order.
Okay.
Para hindi siguro matuloy ang referendum.
Yung plebiscite ba o referendum?
If the exercise of the referendum is accordance with the rule of law, I would say in Sulu matatalo ang BOL.
Okay.
Not because they don't want it, but the people were not consulted. Although, of course, there was consultation, but only in the town proper. Now, one of those mechanisms that the MILF should have done is sending the representatives, their choice of representatives from Hulu to explain to the people. Sinabi ko ito sa mga top officials ng MILF. Sabi ko, ano ang ginagawa ng inyong mga pinili to join you? Walang information dissemination with regard to your advocacy. Sabi ko, ang Tausug ay madaling sumama. Pero pagpasamahin mo, tapos ng pinag-usapan, ang sasabihin ng Tausug, hindi ninyo yan gagawin kung hindi niyo kaya. So there's no need for us to involve and participate anymore.
Okay. So, we can see the problem, and you've identified it, and that does not seem to bode well for the project, the BOL project. But from my impression, it would create more tension and conflict. Is that correct?
hindi naman tension and conflict, but the president aspiration to achieve comprehensive peace, meron loopholes. Because, for instance, in the event that the choice of members of the assembly would come into, ang mangyayari dito is, more often than not, is appeasement policy ang i-adapt. Halimbawa, you join me, those who will not join, I will not include that as part of the Bansa-Sulu organic law. So, yung maiiwan, they will now again find ways and means to continuously opposing the BOL. A system that is adopted for the sake of the well-being of the people should address the well-being of the people. Not just a system, this is the right system for the sake of convenience. Yun ang mahirap dito. Now, I would like to emphasize here, for instance, the endorsement of the Sultan of Sulu in respect to the petition submitted to the Supreme Court. This is about sacredness.
So there is an endorsement from the
Sultanate.
Sultanate.
An endorsement
okay.
of, I have talked, the Sultan Kiram, the second, called me up. This is not about political motivation, he said. This is about sacredness of the ancestral territorial jurisdiction of the Sultan of Sulu. He said that we should have been, the Sultanate and its inhabitants, that includes the local government unit, should have been respected and consulted, that their territories be included in the BOL. Now, that's why if you were asked the people, what administration that really satisfy the sentiments of the people, the people will reply during the Marcos regime. Because the Marcos created two autonomous government for the Muslim in the three island provinces and the Muslim in mainland Mindanao. And for that, President Marcos easily found means to convince those that oppose the government to return to the rule of law. So ito ang nangyari doon. The creation of the two autonomous region for the Muslim during the time of President Marcos should have been a lesson learned. Should have not been a lesson abandoned and neglected.
There's a recent development, the change in the composition of that panel with Duresa out and so on. Does this affect what your crusade right now to try to rectify some of these problems?
I don't see a possibility now, Kamintong, because first of all, aprobado na ng Kongreso. So ang inaantay na lang is libisito. Now, I don't think so. But hopefully, ang mangyari na lang dito, if one day the MILF will implement its assembly,
That's right,
doon na Now, hopefully in the choice of the interim members of the assembly, dapat from the different sectors. Now, if I say different sectors, hindi lamang from the Muslims, including the indigenous and the Christians, because they have also their own sentiments.
That's right.
So, sana, the hope, as I said, our hope should not be transformed into fear, but should be transformed into a progressive mechanism to generate unity, na sana, hindi lang yung only those that have armed or will be involved in the assembly.
That's right.
But also, the stakeholders who are unarmed, the unarmed indigenous people, and the unarmed Christian brothers and sisters in the area.
Okay, and so you have this petition, and we're waiting. When do you think the Supreme Court will respond?
Again, I cannot preempt
course,
but hopefully the Supreme Court will consider the petition in accordance with the rule of law and in accordance with the sentiments of the people, so that there shall be continuation of peace that our President wanted to have in the region.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that federalism as a system would have been more appropriate. Can you explain that further?
Yes. For instance, any system for that matter should respond or corresponds to the economic profile in the area. Now, you have seen in grocery, 5 sardines, different sardines. Now, these products are caught in the Sulu Sea. An area of the sea between Basilan and Sulu. But these products are, after harvesting the products in the sea, they are being brought to Zamboanga City. So here, the revenue will only go to Zamboanga City. Now, if there shall be federalism, which some in Luzon are apprehending that, are very apprehensive, what I mean, about the status of Basilan, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi being the poorest of the poor provinces in the area, I don't see any reason for that. But what I can see is there shall be economic improvement in the area. Because with this full development of the sea resources in the area and the implementation of the federal systems, there are no alternatives for big factories except to follow what federalism wants. So they will transfer their technologies to the different areas. Now, after being transferred there, as what Attorney Gadon said, this will improve the economic well-being of the people because it will generate employment as well as indirect employment for those around the factories to be built in the area.
So the economic aspect is you see as more workable under
More
that
workable
system.
because coming to my apology, ang tatanungin natin, saan ba galing ang isda na kinukuha dyan sa Nabotas? From Sulu Sea and Palawan.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So, kung halimbawa, it does not mean kung federal setup of government na hindi pwede mangisda ang mga taga-Luzon. But doon, hindi na sila pwede mangisda pag walang memorandum of understanding.
That's right. That's right.
So, magkakaroon sabi na, what is the share of this particular province doon sa mga catches niya. So, that's why the people in Sulu are really supportive of the President advocacy for the establishment of federalism.
Okay. So, right now you are on an information campaign to bring this to the attention of the national government and to the public. How is it going?
Well, nagkakaroon lang ho kami ng ganitong pag-uusap. Kung iniimbita, kagaya mo kami we are now conveying the message, not my message as Secretary General, but my responsibility as Secretary General, conveying the message of the people nationwide. But other than that, wala ho kaming paraan para maipaabot namin sa Malacanang. Because for instance, during the deliberation for the approval of the BOL, walang makitang representative of the Sultanate of Sulu, even how many sultans from the Sultanate of Sulu. Walang naimbita ang committee, both in the House of Senate and Congress, representatives. Walang naimbita representatives to shed light. Now, maskin meron nag-advocate about the position of the Sultanate, they were only given 2 minutes. Now, how can you explain the whole thing in only 2 minutes? That's why we really demand for a massive consultation during the drafting of the Bansa-Sulu Organic Law para magkaroon ng freedom ang mga tao to express their opinion before the Bansa-Sulu Transition Commission members. Pero walang nangyari.
Well, yan lumipas na, no? Now we have to look forward. What can we do aside from informing the public and going on this information drive? Siguro maaaring looking for a champion both in the legislature now, again, and siguro sa mga kandidato dito sa darating na eleksyon, ano? May mga champions ba kayo na dadalhin ng issue nyo?
Tama ho, kami itong. But for the incumbent, I don't see any.
Okay.
If they were use it as their platform of advocacy, gagamitin lang nila to convince the people to vote for them. But genuinely in their heart, wala. Ang kailangan siguro dito are those that are not popular. Like halimbawa, Ibrahim Arbani, Attorney Gadon, Manny Lopez, and many others. Because yun lang sila ang meron tunay na puso para sabihin what is really happening in our country. But for those, ang sasabihin lang anyway, sabi niya, makukuha din natin sila because we are in the position. That's why, sana ang mga Filipino people will not only rely their advocacy to be represented by those incumbents. Sana, pag tingnan nila kung sino itong mga hindi popular, ngunit seryoso sa pagsiserbi sa ating bayan.
Well, tulungan nating maging popular. That's why we have this discussions and yung mga malalaking himpilan, mga malalaking networks, well, they will always be more interested in the commercial aspect. We're more interested in the public service. So you can recommend to us whom we should invite to discuss these issues with.
Well, I think, for instance, Sarip Arbani.
Maybe you can bring us together here. No?
Number 2 is Manny Lopez, because he's not only a product of the University of the Philippines, but one of the universities in the United States of America.
Okay.
Now, Attorney Ganon, for instance, because I heard him discussing about his advocacy, foreign policy, overseas employment, and economics. Now, marami pa dyan. Marami pa dyan. Siguro, kami kung mag-imbita ka sa kanila, dapat ang hours mga 2 oras. Because dapat bigyan mo sila ng kanilang kwan. Now, I am not campaigning for them. Kamintong, I'd like to clear it out na hindi tayo nangampanya sa mga taong ito. But the way we look at those incumbent, ang laging pinag-uusapan nila is about yung mga revitalizing those that have been already implemented. Hindi yung ano ba, what are the needs of our country. Base doon sa mga batas, gagawin nila.
Okay. Well, we have our final minute or two. Please recap your appeal to our people and our government.
Well, again, Kamintong, thank you very much for having me. You have given us the opportunity to convey our message to the Filipino people. Number 1, about the sacredness of the territorial boundary of the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo as the basis why Sultan Kiram endorsed the petition submitted to the Supreme Court. This is not about political motivation, but this is about sacredness and our desire to attain peace and unity, not only among the Bansa-Sulu people in Basilan, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi, but also with our brothers, Muslim brothers in mainland Mindanao, including the indigenous and the Christian people. Now, number 2, Kamintong, we would like our government to understand us, not to take the position of the Bansa-Sulu people as a spoiler of peace. Because by understanding this position, maybe some kind of improvement can be made when the BOL shall be implemented in the region. But considering it as opposition of the people, then we are creating an impact for which the people will find isolation in sanctuary. Will find isolation in not participating in the nation building. So, number 3 is that I would like to appeal to the Department of Foreign Affairs to look into the welfare of the Filipino people in Sabah. Thank you very much, Kami.
Okay, with those 3 points, it gives me personally a lot of things to ponder and understand much deeper the crusade that you and the Sultanate is waging. So thank you very much, Abe. And more power to your
Thank you,
crusade. Salamat po sa inyong lahat. And pag-isipan po natin lahat itong mga napag-usapan natin itong araw na to.